The state suspends new cannabis business leases as lawmakers grill Governor Hochul's nominees. State senators grilled the acting chief of the state dormitory authority about the terms of a high-interest cannabis business loan program recently exposed by the city as part of his confirmation hearing on Tuesday. While the authority says it's suspending new deals, Governor Kathy Hochul appointed Robert Rodriguez, formerly New York Secretary of State, as acting president of the dormitory authority last month. The governor had put the agency, which typically finances public construction projects like schools and hospitals, in charge of creating a $200 million cannabis social equity fund that would be used to lease and construct 150 cannabis dispensaries for licenses impacted by drug convictions. Licenses matched to dispensaries leased and built out by the state were required to use loans from the cannabis fund to cover the costs of the renovations, which they had no control over. Borrowers, attorneys, and state sources had told the city the state loans were virtually impossible to pay off. Thanks to unrealistic projections for sales of illegal marijuana products and inflated construction costs, the state contributed $50 million to the cannabis fund and eventually approved up to $150 million from Chicago Atlantic, a private equity investment fund, last June. The terms of the Chicago Atlantic lending the cannabis fund money were kept secret despite requests from lawmakers and public records requests until the city obtained a late draft of the document last month, you guys. That's right. At Tuesday's hearing, senators led by Liz Krueger, Democrat from Manhattan, an architect of the 2021 cannabis legalization law, and Gustavo Ramiro, Democrat from the Bronx, used the confirmation hearing as an opportunity to press Rodriguez about the details of the cannabis fund, questioning whether its deal with Chicago Atlantic is fair for the retail licenses. In quotes, people are arguing, including people who went into these deals, and they will never have the revenue to pay back their loan, Krueger said. She pointed to some of the terms of the agreement reported by the city, including how a licensee can be removed from its dispensary location for late payments. In a quote, that's a fairly radical action compared to what would happen if you were late on your mortgage for your home. You know, for instance, in I think most business in most business fields. Do you happen to know whether that information is correct? Krueger questioned. And in an answer, I'll have to look into that, Rodriguez responded. Krueger also asked Rodriguez to confirm whether it was true that if the licenses fail and default on their loans to the fund, the state would still be on the hook for the payments. The city first reported the state's liability in the agreement with the private equity firm. Chicago Atlantic would actually still hold the state of New York responsible for continuing to completely pay back the total loan. Is that your understanding? The state senator asked. Rodriguez didn't have a clear response to that question either, and the loan program has already drawn scrutiny from state legislators, including Assembly Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes, Democrat from Buffalo, who raised concerns about the high construction costs of the dispensary build-outs. Krueger and Riviera both raised the build-out expenses to Rodriguez as well, and the acting dormitory authority president told the committee that the expenses related to the construction have been verified by third parties and that they've tried to secure lower costs. That's something that we continue to evaluate for the upcoming stores as well, he added. Riviera asked Rodriguez for a commitment to running the loan program in an equitable way. And in a quote, I just want to make sure we're on the record, the senator said, that the role your agency will play in this process is making sure that these folks get the economic support that they require from the fund that was created specifically for this purpose. Krueger told the New York Post on Monday that the dormitory authority is no longer issuing loans through the cannabis fund, and during the hearing, Krueger said this information may have changed, and she had heard that the cannabis fund operators were considering a new model. Jeffrey Gordon, a spokesperson for the Dormitory Authority, said that Dansky will stop seeking out leases or overseeing construction of any dispensaries. So far, the fund has signed 24 leases From now on, the Cannabis Fund will only lease dispensary locations already acquired by Chicago Atlantic to potential leases. And in quotes, the transaction is from the lease side of the Social Equity Investment Fund program to the purchase side of the program. Gordon wrote in a statement to the city during the hearing. Kruger clarified that she was using the opportunity to get answers to questions about the conditional use retail dispensary loan program and that she didn't expect Rodriguez to have every answer immediately. In a quote, my purpose in asking all of these without the answers is I very much hope you know the answers very soon, she added. I don't wish us to continue with a very, very questionable model that's not in the interest of our current applicants or the state of New York. Man, oh man, oh man, New York is just the gift that keeps on giving. All of a sudden, there was no money in this CURD fund. Now, all of a sudden, they seem to have some money, but they're going to stop doing everything. And the dormitory situation is just, the New York, you guys have fouled this at every single opportunity you guys get to mess your program up. And I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. Rico, it looks like we found the $200 million. What do you have to say about this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right?
At least they dodged a bullet with Puffy getting caught.
Oh, man.
Ain't out there, too.
Man, oh, man, oh,
Jeez,
man.
This is, like you said, man, New York is just a gift that keeps on giving. And it's like, these poor people, man. It's the same shit that happened everywhere else, but it's just expedited. This is the New York Minute.
This is
expedited out there in New York. They're getting bamboozled just like we did. These lawsuits are crazy, and just follow the money. You have the cannabis officials that they can't even answer questions right. Then you took out the guy they took out last week. He was the scapegoat. Like this is Kathy Hochul's fault.
Yeah. It is. This is all Kathy Hochul's fault. I totally agree with you on that. This is totally her blunder. To me, she has major egg on her face, and she doesn't even go into dispensaries and buy a souvenir ashtray or anything.
Nothing.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
But yeah, she stands firm in her commitment.
Blame like Cuomo, the people who came in before her. Like, no, these are all your people.
Exactly.
And it was never set up properly. The right people weren't put in place.
And if I remember correctly, when she came in, there was a lot of deviations that she created that went against the program that Cuomo had created.
Cuomo didn't really create much. I want to say like he wanted to give it to the deep pocketed people. Remember, he wanted to give it to like big industry.
That's right.
Initially, and then he had that he lost the right to do that. There's a big celebration from that, and then he had the big it was a sexual harassment and scandal. He ended up leaving. But this is Kathy Hochul. This is all her people she put in place. This is her initiative that she put forward, and it's been a mess from the jump.
Seems so long ago that they were all talking that we're going to do this better than California shit, and now we just watch us keep going. Is anybody else getting like mafia fucking vibes from the dormitory authority in Chicago Atlantic? Like, do these guys work in waste management consulting with Tony Soprano?
Yes. They'll do your build out for $500,000.
Yeah, you know, Dale, that's an interesting point. I found that extremely amusing that they were that now that they're only going to put these into buildings that the fund already owns. Okay, and then on top of it, it sounds like they're doing their whole design and build out. It doesn't sound to me as though that the licensee is going to have any say so at all in their design or build out. It sounds like these firms are going to do it all and then just stick the licensees with the bill, having to pay it back.
Well, they haven't learned. They haven't brought in people who know about financing and be honest and put their cards on the table. And the situations I run into in California is that social equity people are taken advantage of. That's the predominant theme. They don't understand this, and I've spent a lot of hours trying to educate my clients that this is complex, and they'll give you money, but then it's like now you've got conditions to pay it back they didn't understand, and the system doesn't have equity when they want their money back. And why would the state of New York be the guarantor for all this shit? Some of this stuff is just hard to understand. And in California, it's high 6 to low 7 figures to build out a dispensary.
Yeah, right.
I mean, whether you like it or not, that's what it turns out to be. And understanding that New York's not any cheaper. I mean, it's just amazing why you can't bring real estate finance people together and put your cards on the table. What are your goals? And draft it in front of the public to meet your goals. It's sneaky.
I would think that for all this, the cost would be super overinflated, because they're going to make you use union labor for all of these construction jobs and bids and whatnot, because that's how New York operates, and that you already know that that's just going to increase the cost that someone would do it if they were to privately do their own build out. I mean, MedMen, when they first started, they on average said that they spent $500,000 on each build out of each store location.
Well, that's the build outs. That's not counting.
That's no inventory. That's no staff. That's no nothing. That's just build out.
Yeah, we're looking at $1 million plus just for a small dispensary when all the damage is done and you start selling your first product. And knowing that, and New York's a lot like California, more expensive than it needs to be. Why can't they sit down and be honest with people, and have built in the system a fudge factor for people coming in as equity applicants that don't understand finance, don't really get all this stuff, and build in the system some equity for them, rather than making sure people are making money off this. Don't be mistaken. This is a bucket full of water that, we laugh, some spills. No, this fucking bucket's a sieve, and it's going into somebody's pocket somewhere.
Yeah,
exactly.
What perplexes me is the financial capital of the world. You guys didn't do your due diligence before you put these people in charge.
Right.
$150 million. Like, why wasn't that put in escrow, like publicly viewable? Like, where'd the money go?
I feel like they just had who can fleece our social equity applicants the most, and that's who they put in these positions. Yep. And on that,
if you're a policymaker and you ask a question and you don't get an answer, there's a problem there.
Exactly.
You're the one making these policies, and you call up and go, I don't know, let me check into it. Bullshit. You should know this off the top of your head and not show up and play games with people.
Dale, you bring that up. This reminds me a lot of the story that we covered last week in regards to the budget in California, and when they were when senators and assembly members were asking questions on the Budget Finance Committee in regards to where is this money going during the audit, and they couldn't justify where large chunks of money had been spent at, and this is just the same thing. This California, New York, same situation, same problem, just a little bit different with a little bit of twist.